Aggregate supply for A-level economics. Aggregate supply is the total output produced in an economy at a given price level over a given period of time. The two types of classical AS curves you need to know are the short-run aggregate supply curve, SRAS, and the long-run aggregate supply curve, LRAS. The SRAS curve is upward sloping from left to right. This shows that as the price level increases, so does the amount of output. This is because more firms are willing to supply at a higher price. The steepness of the SRAS curve is dependent on its price elasticity. The steeper the SRAS curve, the more price inelastic it is, i.e. output is relatively unresponsive to a change in price. And the less steep the SRAS curve, the more price elastic it is, i.e. output is relatively responsive to a change in price. On the other hand, in the long run, we assume that an economy will move towards an equilibrium where all resources are being used to full capacity, meaning that the economy is operating at its full productive potential on a PPF curve. This is why the LRAS curve is vertical. If the price level increases, for example from P to P1, the output won't increase because the economy is already running at full capacity, so more output can't be created. Shift in the SRAS curve. Changes in the cost of production cause the SRAS curve to shift. For example, if the price of oil fell, the SRAS curve would shift right from SRAS to SRAS1, and therefore at price P, output would increase from Y to Y1. To sum up, a reduction in the cost of production will mean that, at the same price level, more output can be produced, so the SRAS curve will shift to the right. The factors that cause a shift in the SRAS curve, because they change the cost of production, are changes in wage rates, changes in efficiency levels, changes in corporation tax rates, changes in exchange rates, because a weaker pound will increase the price of imports, causing SRAS to shift left, as raw materials will be more expensive, making production more expensive. This is cost-push inflation, which involves inflation caused by the rising cost of inputs to production. Supply-side shocks occur when these factors experience significant changes. A sudden decrease in aggregate supply, leading to a price increase, for example, could be caused by supply-side shocks such as a natural disaster or war. Shift in the LRAS curve. Since the LRAS curve is determined by the factors of production, a change in these will affect the capacity of the economy, and therefore the LRAS curve will shift. If the LRAS curve shifts right from LRAS to LRAS1, it means that the economy can produce more and is equivalent to an outward shift of the PPF. This leads to economic growth from Y to Y1. And output increases as the same price level now corresponds to a higher level of output. A rightward shift is often achieved by an increase in productivity, where more goods are able to be produced using the same resources, or by increasing resources so more goods can be produced. For example, investment could lead to technological advances, improving the efficiency of production and increasing maximum output. Further examples of factors other than advances in technology influencing LRAS to shift right are an improvement in education and skills, since this will lead to a more productive workforce where the output per worker will increase. Changes in government regulations, such as the removal of red tape. Demographic changes and migration. For example, if people of working age are migrating to a country, the size of the labour force will increase and the economy can increase its output. An increase in competition. A more competitive market will encourage firms to be more efficient and will cause inefficient firms to close down. An improvement in healthcare. A healthier workforce will result in fewer absences and workers will be more likely to retire at a later age. This increases the productivity and size of an economy's labour force. Promoting enterprise, such as by providing economic incentives or guidance for new businesses. Increasing factor mobility. To reduce occupational labour immobility, training schemes could be implemented. If the opposite occurs and there is a decline in the quality or quantity of the factors of production, then output will reduce and the LRAS will shift left. The Keynesian LRAS curve. The curve is horizontal at low levels of output, where resources are not fully employed, so there's spare capacity in the economy. Aggregate supply is perfectly elastic at this point, and output can be increased from Y to Y1, depicting economic growth, without a rise in the price level, which stays at P. From P1 to P2, output increases from Y2 to Y3, so there is inflation and economic growth. The curve is vertical at the point where the economy reaches full capacity, shown by Y3. Aggregate supply is perfectly inelastic at this point. Resources are fully employed, so output can't increase anymore, even when price increases from P2 to P3. So there is inflation without economic growth. When AD shifts from this point,